recent reads. Now I have to preface this a little bit. This video has been in the making for a minute. Again, because of the elephant in the room. If you're new, you won't know, but if you want to know, it's on my community tab a little bit down low. You'll find it. You'll know what I mean. I've been meaning to film a rating wrap up, or like my recent reads, for a minute before I even got out of my reading slump. I can officially say that I think I am genuinely inching my way out of it, and I have definitely read quite a few books since. this is required to read in English. I apologize if you are not that, comfortable with English and you would love to read it translated. Sorry for my stomach. I get it. However, I'm so sorry this needs to be read in English because I cannot fathom how the wordplay can be ever translated into a different language. Because, sorry, I got interrupted at got a big chunk. Okay, whatever. So, the importance of being earnest is about. I'm going to read you the description. You have to excuse me. It's been a long time since I read all these, and I just feel very scatterbrained right now to be able to just produce it out of my own head. But so, the importance of being earnest is Oscar Wilde's most popular play today, enduring thanks to its easy humor, witty dialogue, and clever satire. It was also one of his more successful plays, despite its first. Why am I reading you this? This is unimportant. The main characters pretend to be other people in order to escape social obligations, with the resulting confusion of identities driving the plot and the humor behind it. Whoopsie. And a different synopsis says, to maybe make it a little more clear, Cecily Cardew and Gwendolyn Fairfax are both in love with the same mythical suitor. Jack Worthing has wooed Gwendolyn as Ernest, while Algernon has also posed as the same Ernest to win the heart of Jack's ward Cecily. When all four arrive at Jack's country home on the same weekend, the rivals to fight for Ernest's undivided attention, and Ernest's to claim their beloved's pandemonium breaks loose. Only a senile nursemaid and an old discarded handbag can save the day. So basically, you have the two main characters, Jack and Algernon, who are friends, and they're talking. And when Jack mentions his interest in Gwendolyn, he also lets Algernon know that actually Gwendolyn doesn't know his name, and she thinks that he's Ernest, like Ernest, not Ernest as the adjective of being honest, but the name Ernest. And the whole thing is that he believes that she would not like him if she knew his name was Jack, and that Ernest gives him a breath of, it's like a breath of fresh air. He's more sophisticated, he's more suitable, and that's how he's going to be able to. I'm going to lose it. If you can't hear the TV, no, you fucking can't. I'm so pissed. Whatever. And basically, Algernon, while Jack is out there wooing Gwendolyn in the city, he decides that he's going to go woo Cecily back in the country, and he's also going to pose as Ernest, because I think Cecily knows of Algernon, if I'm not mistaken, but she doesn't know Ernest, and he thinks that this is the way to her heart. So when Algernon comes there and starts wooing Cecily as Ernest, someone that Jack said has been visiting in the city, and that was his reason for visiting, she's like, oh my god, Jack is going to be so delighted to see you, or whatever. And Jack comes, and he's in fact not delighted to see her, Ernest. But then Gwendolyn also comes. It's a whole mess. It's so great. Now, I will read you my review in my book journal because I am not able to produce Korean thoughts right now. So, I have no idea what I've written in these because it's been so long. So, whoop, whoop, whoop. was nicer. Like he was a bit so nicer. He had never done anything. Also, Mr. Ashley, my guy, I love a man coming to a woman's defense, but get up. She was horrible for no reason. Blanche being such open and blatant cold digger was a bit surprising. And her okay, spoiler. The psychological exploration of gambling and addiction come at last, at the end, and I did really enjoy that. But I do wish a larger chunk of the novel was about this, apart from the last two chapters, if even. Nonetheless, a good time, and happy that this was my first Dostoevsky. Yeah. So basically, my overall feelings about this is that I think it's a great place to start with Dostoevsky. Apart from like his maybe short stories like White Nights or whatever, I do think that maybe in the beginning you might be a bit confused because the novel has a lot more plot or a lot more happening. It's not just about the gambling addiction. I expected that we're going to kind of dive into that maybe like 20% in, and then the rest of the book is going to be dealing with that. But no, our main character, Alexei, is basically rather sensible, and he explains the roulette, and you see him interact with the roulette a lot because they go to the casino a lot, but he actually does not fully succumb to it himself for basically the entire book until the complete end. You see other characters who will spiral into the gambling addiction, and you see Alexei being their like right hand man and kind of like letting them know what to do and whatever, but his addiction only spirals at the end, and I expected a lot more psychological intrigue or anything to do with that to be dealt with throughout the book, but that was not the case. So you have a lot more other things happening that just are unrelated to this. And I will say, the moment Granny entered the scene, I found this incredibly delightful. She was a comedic relief. I was cackling in the cafe. All right. So yeah, it's a type of Dostoevsky that I think is like something to write home about personally. However, if this is your favorite, I would love to hear your opinion. But I think it's a very good place to start. It's not too complicated, right? Even if I was quote unquote confused, it was not necessarily like big things that would matter to the story. And I think you can kind of start getting a feel for the way Dostoevsky writes. So yeah, I just wish there was a little bit more of the psychological exploration because, as I mentioned, it really happened only at the complete end. Also, I did not understand Alexei's infatuation with Polina Alexandrovna. She was horrendous. She had her reasons to be a bit mean, okay, fair enough, but like, girlie, there's a line, and you're crossing it. Okay, so, next up I read, and that's my another physical, and the only other physical book. Oops. Can you see that? The King in Yellow, the King in Yellow, the King in Yellow. Yellow, 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 yellow. I have to check my gain. By Robert W. Chambers. You might be familiar with this, or you might not, because I feel like it's one that is known, but is also not spoken about enough. This is an absolute staple in the paranormal, supernatural, horror-ish tales, classic tales. I've heard of The King in Yellow through my friend who watched like a video essay on it, and I didn't like really dive into that then, but then I saw this and I was like, wait, I really wanted to learn more about this. Let me read this. This is basically a collection of 10 short stories that talk about the King in Yellow. Now, you know, I don't need my notes for this. It's 10 short stories, but I want to preface. Okay, now what? The King in Yellow. The King in Yellow is a fictional story. Fictional story within a story. You never learn what the King in Yellow is about, really. You never read about the King in Yellow, actually. What you do read about, however, is about other people reading it, the characters reading this proposed story, The King in Yellow, and going insane. They either lose their sanity, or they become completely devout to this, or they, something supernatural, paranormal starts happening to them after experiencing this story. And you follow is kind of like, something what is obscure is happening in that. But stories 8, 9, 10 are just regular short stories. They have nothing to do with the paranormal, with the supernatural, with the King in Yellow whatsoever. So those are just regular short stories. You might enjoy them, but just wanted to preface that. So the stories that definitely are concerning themselves with the King in Yellow as some kind of story is stories 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely first 4. 5 it is also kind of odd and kind of supernatural, paranormal, but I personally didn't exactly get the link to possibly King in Yellow, so I'm not unsure about that. And then the 6th one is just completely the most like very certain, very like acid train type of read. It's very short. It's very what is the word? I'm genuinely blanking on the word. It's very not obscure. I mean, yeah, but I think they described it in the introduction. Let me. Is it? Okay, the strangest tale in this collection is The Prophet's Paradise, which is a series of short scenes of a rich but esoteric and indeed hallucinatory nature. So yeah, just very different to the other ones. So very acid trip like, but I don't probably it is linked to the King in Yellow, but whatever. Now, what I want to say is that in the beginning, it will feel like you are missing something. It will feel like you are reading a sequel and you should have read a prequel and you don't know where it is, because obviously the characters know what happens in A King in Yellow, but you don't. You know a few things, you keep hearing things that are repeating, but you don't like actually understand what happens in the story. So it does take you a minute to like adjust to understanding like what signs are linked to the King in Yellow. What is the King in Yellow about, really? But it's a very, 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 very interesting tale, and very interesting to see how it makes people react and how it makes them behave after reading it. Some were a lot more like crazy and this person has gone mad, and others just have been met with incredible misfortune after reading or interacting with the story. So yeah, I've overall really enjoyed this collection. I will say I wish that we could either read The King in Yellow, because I think that would be so fucking cool. The layer of intrigue and the enigmatic aspects of the story are fun. I wish there were also more short stories that were dealing with the King in Yellow, but I think the ones that were written were great. fish with the old fisherman because he has had a low season and they want him fishing with somebody else who will actually bring in the fish. But the boy is very devoted to Santiago and to, you know, just making sure that he's okay and being there with him and spending time with him, and I really loved it. Whatever. Well, I'll get told that. And the boy, and I have dreaded the old man might die. Was Santiago the old man, or was that the name of the boy? Because some things, first of all, you cannot take these reviews as like stone cold facts because I literally don't proofread shit. Wait, let's see. Let's see here if I look on Goodreads. The old man, and let's see. Will characters pop up? Book details. Oopsie. Oh, right, no. It's the old man and the mandolin was the boy, I think. It should be that way. Okay. I got somewhat attached to Santiago and the boy, and I have dreaded the old man might die on the ocean, but thank heavens. I've loved the descriptions. I've loved the gentleness interwoven into the writing in the characterization of the old man. Despite the book being about fishing, hence killing fish, I really appreciated the empathy and gratitude Santiago seemed to have expressed towards any animal, really. I feel like there are so many genuinely gorgeous quotes from this story. And I'm going to read you reason anymore.